Welcome back to Whistle Watch. Oh, what a weekend of rugby. Now we'll be looking at Andrew Porter's potential red card. Bundee is clear out in that ruck, and I'll also be selecting my best 15 from the July test window. All to come on Whistle Watch. Right, first up is your Emirates fans questions. Here we go. I eat banana skins. What's your favourite game of any of the series games? So I assume we mean the July series. For me, it was over the rugby club watching the first test between South Africa and Wales, which we nearly won. Question for Nigel. Well, that's the whole point, Matthew. If you could swap one rugby player and one footballer into each other's sport, who would it be and why? Oh, that's one of the best questions we've had on here. Now then. I think I would put Ronaldo. I was between Ronaldo and Messi, but I think I'll go to Ronaldo because I just want to see what it's like when he gets tackled properly. And his skill, of course. Put him at maybe number 10 or full back, maybe. And who am I going to put from rugby to football? Do you know what? I am going to put Bakis Botha. So then they'll know what it really is like to have a big hit on the football field. T. Giles, Nigel, as a younger ref, teenager, it's a long time ago, how did you deal with older coaches and managers telling you what to do? Well, yeah, I didn't do what they told me to do. Look, it's the same now, at all levels of the game. I always sort of was, okay, fair point, I'll take on board, I'll have a look. But then I'll have a look, and sometimes they'll have a fair point, and you say, right, okay, they've got a fair point here, actually. They are pushing the offside line, so you deal with it. Or you'd have a look and say, look, no, I'm happy with it, so you carry on. So I wouldn't let them influence or change my decisions, but if they did have a value point, I would take it on board and have a look at it. So thanks for Emirates fans questions. Some great questions again this week. Thanks for sending them in. And now it's time for Whistle Watch. Right then, let's cast our eye over some of these talking points. Andrew Porter's potential red card. Now, very interesting one here. If you remember back last week, we spoke about the red card in the New Zealand game last week, where Ringrose steps inside and he reacts in less than half a second to try and adjust his tackle height and failed to do so, and under the current guidelines was correctly sent off by Jaco Piper. Now, what we have this week is Porter very different. Porter is upright. He has all the time in the world now to change his body angle, to get his tackle height low, and chooses not to. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you get it wrong, when you make that head contact as he did, it should be a red card. Players really need, when they have time to adjust, they need to adjust and get the tackle down for the safety of the game, their opposition player, and themselves as well. Some of you eagle-eyed watchers from the game would have seen the Bundee clear out. Very interesting one here. Looks like he may well have made head contact. Looks like it, but we can't see. I've looked at all the angles. Now, what you don't know as well is during the game, the TMO would have been looking back through all those angles to see if he had any evidence to let the referee know, I've got foul play here, so we need to check it. So this is happening in the background. This is good because it doesn't stop the game to check something and then come back and say there's no foul play. So the TMO is looking at all this. There is no angle to show that there is head contact by Bundee's clear out. So Bundee's clear out is pretty much the way most players would clear out in the contact area. Yes, it's a little bit higher maybe than usual. Both players are high. So when the referee and the TMO looks at this, or the TMO looks in the background, there is no foul play. This is probably why we haven't seen a sighting with either, because they've looked at all the evidence. They can't see any factual evidence that there was contact with the head. So there, it is just a rugby collision and there is no foul play. So, but rest assured, the TMO will be checking all this in the background. Nothing to see, nothing to show the referee then to put it on the screen, and that's why we had play on. Now then, Steph to Toit. Bit of confusion around this, why he was penalised for blocking Arling Wyn-Jones. Well, look, this is what you can do, okay? You have to be behind the hindmost foot, first of all. When there's a ruck in this situation, your offside line is the hindmost feet of your own player. So, you have to be behind the hindmost foot. Now, If you're a defending side and you're front of the hindmost foot, you're going to get penalised. If you're the attacking team, and some of you may say, well, this is not fair. If you're an attacking team and you're in front of the hindmost foot, as long as you don't do anything wrong, so you're not blocking anybody coming through or you're gaining an unfair advantage from it, then the referee probably wouldn't penalise you. But there usually is a communication for them to step back. What Steph Toit does here is, when the ball comes back and Alun Jones comes through on the ball, what he does here, he actually goes to try and block Alun Jones from coming through. So if Steph Toit just stood his ground, as long as he's behind the hindmost foot, he would have done nothing wrong. If he's in front of the hindmost foot and stood his ground but blocked Alun Jones from coming through, then he's liable to get penalised because he's always in an offside position. Now, this is something World Rugby have been clamping down on around this. This is a very good spot by the referee and a 100% correct decision to get this out of the game. Now then, how many of you watched the Chile win over the USA on the weekend? Right at the end of the game, a penalty was reversed. A penalty was given to the USA in a kickable position. And then the TMO comes in and tells the referee we have potential foul play for a neck roll and we need to deal with it. So, let's look at the tackler first of all. Luke Pierce decides here that the tackler is interfering with play, so he penalises him. But the TMO comes in. Now, what do we have here is a situation of a foul play. So, pretty much in every situation in the game, foul play, particularly something like a neck roll, will overrule a technical decision. So, great spot by the TMO, great input to him to coming in and showing Luke Pierce we have foul play, a neck roll, and the decision is quite rightly so reversed and the penalty goes to Chile. So that is when you have your team of 4 on the field working well together. Good work with the TMO and a correct reversal of the decision. And that's it for Whistle Watch, and I hope that I've helped you understand those decisions a little better. Now, with the men's July tests over, I've selected my best 15. So let's have a look to see who's made the cut. As you can see, I filled up most of the positions. There are some big names, of course, like Adi Sevilla, Ellis Genge, Karevi, who've all performed brilliantly this month. But let's have a look at the gaps and pick my remaining players. And first up is, outside half, Rodrigo Fernandez. Now, helped Chile qualify for their first ever World Cup. I just can't begin to imagine what that means for him, his team, and the country as well. Scored not only one of the great tries of the month, but one of the great tries in rugby history as well. Now then, number 9, this guy has got a great future. Jack van Portfield. Scrum half for England. Fellow farmer as well. Grew up on a farm, no wonder he's so good. Really stepped up and didn't look out of place. Only 21 years of age. He has got a great future in front of him. One to watch for the World Cup, I'm sure. Oh, and what about number 6? Well, straightforward decision, I think, isn't it? Peter O'Mahony. At 32 years of age, he epitomises what Irish rugby is all about. Led by example throughout the series and refused to take a backward step. Nothing new about that, I can tell you. Second row, Eben Edspeth, a centurion for South Africa. Absolutely colossal of a player, produced big carries and even bigger hits as well. His physicality helped nullified Wales and is one of the many leaders within the South African squad. Well, that's all we have time for this week. Now, some of you may have noticed on the weekend that all the referees are wearing a black armband, and that was because Andrew Cole, an ex-international referee and a good friend to all of us referees, passed away recently. So, sincere and deepest condolences and sympathy to all of the family out there in Australia. A wonderful man and a wonderful referee. I'll be back next week with more Whistle Watch. Until then, goodbye.